So I'm trying to talk about the post-harvest handling of strawberries for fresh market. So this is the story it needs to tell. Understand that this, you will know why it's important to develop proper handling procedures. So strawberries, even after their harvest, they are not dead. They are still living materials. When I'm saying living, the biggest thing is respiration. So the consequence for respiration is absorb oxygen, generator of CO2, and also release energy plus release water. So all this are impacted by temperature, relative humidity, and gas atmospheres. That's why later I mentioned a little bit about modified atmosphere packaging, give you the ideas why it is important, what you can do for extending shelf life. Also, microbial. That's from both quality and safety standpoint. Fungi, especially the gray molds, it's a really major issue for cause quality deterioration. Talk about food safety issues, all these different pathogens. They love berries because of sugar. And also this atmosphere storage, that's depending on the gas composition, significantly impact the respiration rate. Plus the physical angel. If any berries had a physical angel, it really speeds up all this respiration and microbial growth. So because of this, when we develop post-harvest handling procedures or technologies, we need to count on all these factors. So I believe you all are aware of these fungi issues. They are one of the major issues leading to quality deterioration, shortening the shelf life. The worst part is when happens, it impacts all surrounding fruits. So if you look at the factors affecting post-harvest shelf life of strawberries, I need to make it clear. When you talk about the shelf life, it's really many factors affected, especially the variety of the berries also are a significant factor. So of course, harvest system, that's important for retaining the physical integrity, preventing any physical injury, and also packing type of the packing technology, type of the packaging containers, rate of the coating. So I will emphasize a lot on this cold chain, why it is important, what you can do. And then the storage temperature, don't forget the relative humidity, because berry fruits, especially fresh ones, they have 85% water. So water loss is a big thing. During the storage, the relative humidity directly impact transmission and the respiration. Also, the temperature during transportation and the display, I will touch this a little bit. Also, I want to talk a little bit other potential post-harvest technologies for extending shelf life. So I mentioned MAP a little bit, also talk about potential application using edible coating for extending shelf life. So again, temperature is the key, as mentioned, because temperature directly impacts respiration rate and water loss. Again, water loss, there's two causes. One is respiration, another is called transmission. That's because if the relatively humidity is too lower due to the relative humidity difference between the foods and the environmental, it gets water loss. That's why maintain higher relative humidity during fresh storage is important. Also, decay development, many factors could cause the decays, and how you're going to delay the decay is the key. Again, exposed to warm temperature at any handling step after harvest could reduce fresh fruit shelf life. Again, cooling is the key. By doing properly cooling, what you can do is you can remove the field heat. That's what I'm trying to mention, this cold chain. The cooling should start right after fruit harvest. Because again, at the warm temperature, accelerated respiration rate, I will show you the pictures, you can see the difference. Also by reducing the respiration, reducing water loss, also decreased sensitivity to athletes. So this is just a big statement. Even after picking, strawberry remains alive and produce heat as a natural consequence of respiration. Give you an example, see how the temperature impacts. If you store at 1 degree C or 32 Fahrenheit, a ton of strawberry produce approximately 3,100 BTU per day. But if moved to room temperature, that's 41,000 BTU. You can see that's a huge difference. So this curve gives you an idea how this fungi decay happens depending on the storage temperature. This is the time, and this is 3 different temperatures. One is 0 degrees C, 5 degrees C, and 10 degrees C. You can see how quickly this decay happens depending on the storage temperature. Microorganisms, majority of them just like a warm temperature. So what means maintain a cold chain? Maintain a cold chain means you want to cool them as quick as possible. So for when picking in the field, trying to make several small trips to the cooler instead of wait for too long in a warm temperature. Then keep the product cool in the field. So when picking, you can use a shade and a mixed system when the relative humidity is lower to prevent transmission. And also pay attention to airflow, how you stacking them together and the box bending. Also load into refrigerator transit as quick as possible if you transport your fruits from one location to another. Unload into refrigerated storage quickly after move to another newer location. Also during retail display, try to keep cold temperature. Not only that, you need to keep monitoring and measuring the temperature at each step, at each point by using a temperature record. So when looking for cold storage methods, there are different ways. One is the mechanical refrigeration, mainly named forced air cooling or room cooling. That's one most popularly used. Or you can use evaporative cooling. That's much quicker and more efficient, but the unit is much more complicated than forced air. Or you can use hydro cooling or ice cooling or vacuum cooling. These two are not practical for fresh strawberries, but has been used for other fresh produce, especially hydro cooling for cherry has been used quite successful. Ice cooling most for vegetables. So really come to fresh strawberries, you have very limited choices. So for when storage in a walk-in cooler, there are a couple of things just want to point it again. Set point should be between 32 to 36 Fahrenheit. What that means is you want to keep strawberry as close as to 0 to 2 degrees C as possible for extending shelf life. Also, again, retaining higher relative humidity, 90 to 95%, to prevent transmission, to basically retaining the water in the strawberries. Also, you want to mapping the temperature throughout the room and store product at the best temperature available. So I will show you the pictures. Don't believe you have a cold storage room, all the points temperature are the same, which is not true. So you want to make sure you're retaining uniform temperature in the cold room and avoiding some spots to prevent warm or overcooling. So these are the spots you want to pay attention. By the door, it's warmer, trying to avoid that place. Also, in the back, it's cooler. You also want to avoid that spot because you don't want to freeze your fruits. And also, again, here, yes, should be stored as close as to 34 Fahrenheit as possible, and also away from high air velocity. This reason is, again, preventing water loss. So a few other things about storage in walk-in cooler, using air curtains in doorway and maintain in good conditions. Again, just preventing warm air getting into your cool room. Also, keep door closed when not entering or existing the door cooler. Just trying to, again, maintain the cold temperature. Also, upgrade or calibrate or wall temperature away from the door. Make sure you get a correct reading in the temperature in the room. If possible, minimize your storage time. So these are just a few pictures give you ideas. This is the door with the curtains, and this is the area nearby the door, so can be the warm spot you want to avoid. And these are the other areas you can see. This is a fan. Again, this is when I used to, my first job, in fact, it's an engineer for a design refrigerator. So we did a lot of this, monitoring works trying to make sure the uniform air circulation in the cooler. Again, depending on the size of the cold room, depending on how the fans goes, the air uniformity may change significantly. So those are the two spots, the temperature could be very, very different. So make sure when you have this thermal cup in your cold room, you have different spots, you get a more uniform reading, so you put your product in more uniform cold areas. Next one is just in the, when you display your product, also want to make sure they are in the cold temperature. So temperature management can be a challenge in a display, okay? So again, a balance between a display designed to increase sales and needs to maintain lower temperature. I show you a couple of pictures what this means. You want the display looks good, but at the same time, you also want to make sure your product stored in the cold temperature. Sometimes it can be challenged, so you need to have a good balance on that. And again, rotation is the key. Times on the retail sales, product goes and ins, retail is the key, so especially for non-refrigerated display. You want to check every 2 hours. So for example, this is a beautiful display, really stimulating the sales. And here, this is the refrigerated display. So show you another picture. In fact, I just want to say a few more words about this refrigerated display. There are different types. You can contact the supply to, based on your needs, they have different design that means is how cold air circulated. Okay, so you want to talk to the supply to meet your needs. So you want to, again, for the retail display to maintain a lower temperature as close as to 36 to 38. Don't allow foods to warm during stock. Again, as close as to 32, it's the ideal situation. Make sure the air supply is uniform, distributed, and also the temperature thermal cup is calibrated. Also, don't obscure airflow in display. Again, overstocking can cause the problem. Block the air vent can be a problem. So again, the design, that display, it's the key. So this is another type of this company, HSC. They are making this produce display depending on the needs. Again, air can be circulated in different ways depending on your needs. You can talk to the manufacturers. This is another one. This is called refrigerated orchard bins. Also have a cooling systems here. The design is a little bit different from previous pictures. Okay, during the transportation, again, the truck has to be refrigerated. You can either using boxed truck or tractor trailers, depending on the amount of the produce to the fruits you are going to transport from one location to another. Temperature recording and monitoring during transportation is the key. Another thing is, show the pictures here. You can use it called thermal basket. Thermal basket is basically, it can overwrap the stock of carton on the pallets with a foil laminated thermal blanket. Based on the manufacturer, you can use, by using those thermal blanket, you can maintain the temperature of 3 degrees C within a carton for up to 36 hours. It's really help to retain the lower temperature. So I don't know how many of you know this USDA porta cooler. This is the cooler developed by a USDA research team. So they have different volumes, 35 to 7 cubic meters inside the space. They are using a cold air is forced through the produced by pressure from a fan in a second wall inside. So again, if you want to see more details, I gave the website. You can go to the website to see the hot cooler. Usually the price is about $1,200. This price is not include the trailer, but the cooling system. So I have a picture to show one of the units. So basically it's a cooling system, the trailer, and they have the units have different size, can fit the space, different space needs. So I saw these two websites, if you're interested to learn more about the cooling system, these two websites gives very good information. One is, I believe, by the North Carolina State University Extension. Also, this is from the USA, very detailed information for the colder chain, from cooling after picking to in a retail display. So my rest of the time, I want to talk about other potential technology to further extending shelf life for fresh strawberries. So I will talk about the modified atmosphere storage or packaging, and also talk a little bit about the edible coating. So what is MAP? In the air, you have 20% oxygen, 0.03% CO2 plus nitrogen, right? So what happens is, with such a high oxygen, it's encouraged respiration, it's encouraged majority of microbial growth. So by using modified atmosphere means you're going to replace air, you're going to using a pre-mixed gas composition, usually has elevated CO2, reduced oxygen, then balanced with nitrogen. Nitrogen is an inert gas. By doing that, you can extend shelf life. Back to strawberry, generally speaking, by reduced oxygen, you can slow down the respiration. You don't want to fully stop it. You want to slow down respiration. And the carbon dioxide not only create an anaerobic condition, but also carbon dioxide is a natural antimicrobial agent. So this technology, in fact, it's used in many different products today. If you go to Winkles, you will see some ground pork, ground turkey are packaging using this kind of technology. Many fresh pasta are packaging using this kind of technology. The key is, depending on the product, different gas composition are required. So back to fresh strawberries. Generally believe by using 15 to 20% CO2, it can significantly control the growth of botrytis. So that's the initial idea. So show you some more detailed information. So by using high CO2, so how the high CO2 can be obtained? There are different ways to obtain high CO2. So but remember this, it's always a juggling here. When you packaging fresh berries in a closed container, remember respiration, absorb oxygen, generate CO2, right? So you can using that nature to generate high CO2. But depending when more oxygen absorbed, the respiration slows down. So it reaches some saturation. And also another thing is the packaging film, the permeability of the packaging film is the key. It has all worked together to achieve that balance to get the best results. So high CO2 atmospheres can be obtained using impermeable plastic bag. That means if the packaging film is not permeable to CO2, when fruits respires, it generates CO2. That CO2 can accumulate it by reach 15 to 20% level. In that case, can control the growth of botrytis. Okay, that's one way to do. So another way is strawberry cartons needs to maintain sealed during entire 2 to 3 days to obtain this high CO2 benefit. So I show you the picture later that Driscoll's has been working with a packaging company, develop a system to achieve these goals. Okay, so based on this, they say at the 1 degree C, the shelf life can be extended to 10 to 14 days. This is the ideal gas composition. Again, this depending on the variety of the fruits. Just want to make one more comment. When you're using MAP, has to work together with refrigerated storage. So don't think MAP can replace room storage, no way. So modified anisole packaging has to work with refrigeration storage together. So this is the Driscoll system right now they're using for transporting fresh strawberries. I give the website, they have a nice video in YouTube. So to kind of explain how the system works. Basically, this is a pallet. It's all overwrapped by the packaging plastic films. So they have very low permeability. In that case, accumulated CO2. So can generate high CO2 to prevent the growth of botrytis. However, lately, there's some different opinions says why higher CO2 is good to preventing the botrytis, but it may cause reduce of the pH of the fruits, which impact the flavor, cause fizzy or sharp taste of the fruits. So more research being done say, why don't we using elevated CO2? So in this case, it should be some kind of results. So this is the work being done, say using, I give all the references here. So using 80% oxygen with not CO2, just generate CO2 by the fruit itself, because with this high CO2 oxygen, can rapid respiration is very fast, it can release more carbon dioxide. In that case, you can see this, I believe this is 60 days even. This is, of course, you know what happens with this MAP technology, fruits look so fresh. Oh, okay, 5 minutes, I need to speed up. Okay, so anyway, I'm not going to do this too much here, so this gives you some results. Basically, showing all the positive results on the weight loss and the fruit firmness. So, in addition to this, I just want to quickly point it, in addition to MAP, there are other research being done for extending shelf life. One is heat. It's very interesting. They say the 50 degree very short for fresh strawberries, significantly extend shelf life. And also, another way is using called biocontrol, just using another fungi to inoculate it, become competitors with botrytis, can prevent the growth. So I don't know how many of you pay attention on this new technology. It's a commercial technology called It's Fresh. Basically, it's using a strip with clay and other minerals to absorb ethylene. That's help extending the shelf life. So last thing I'll talk a little bit is the edible coating. I've been doing this many years for edible coating. In fact, I worked with Oregon Strawberry Commission 10 years ago for this technology. Edible coating is not new. If you buy citric fruits, you buy apples, many of them are edible coated. Most product is wax coating, or these days using vegetable-based coating. The coating it's called skin packaging. Basically, provides barrier to gas and water. But all those coatings, unfortunately, don't have anti-fungi or antimicrobial functionality. What we've been doing in my lab, we're using a material called chitosan. You can see chitosan, I don't know how many of you, I don't have time, I guess. Chitosan is a natural polymer. It's extracted from shrimp or crab shells. FDA has allowed it using as a dietary supplement for binding with body cholesterol for weight control. But this is also a beautiful material, can make films, just like rain films. So the beautiful thing is, has a very strong anti-fungi function. So you can see coating strawberries significantly control the decay. And we did all the consumer tests that was very well received. Unfortunately, by today, chitosan, it's not approved by FDA for food application, although it's allowed it as a dietary supplement. Okay, so one last thing I just remind everyone. In fact, in 1986, FDA approved to using a lower dosage food irradiation to control the fungi in strawberries. Of course, no market because consumers concerned for irradiation. Okay, so last slide. So just the basic harvest, post-harvest principles. Of course, you want harvest at correct maturity, reduce physical handling and damage, also protect the product from sun and cool as quick as you can. Also, keep packing line or area simple, clean, issue good working hygiene, retain cold chain from harvest to retail to the consumers, and high relative humidity. Possible using advanced post-harvest technology to further extending your shelf life. Of course, train and compensate your work adequately. Thank you. Yeah, I have a list of references, if anyone wants to read.
Anybody have any questions?
I've got a question. So, thinking about the cooling with fresh strawberries, do you have any idea, like ballpark, what the costs of just putting in some sort of small system would be? Or would you go to the references that you?
Yeah, like I said, if you buy this USDA small, that's intended for the small scale growers. I think that's units 1,200, but not include the trailer, just the units. Otherwise, it's really difficult to say because depending on which kind of cooling. I still believe forced air, that's the one for strawberries, most practical, although there are other technologies. But because the nature of the berry fruits, they have limited applications. I don't have the numbers, yeah, no.
I think it'll be good to have the details of the links that you had listed about the different cooling options given out to you guys, whether it be in a bulletin or just in the meeting proceedings. So we'll be sure to make sure that you guys have access to that information. Thank you.
Thanks.